rector, vice rector, the audience. What a lovely, lovely introduction. Thanks for that. Airbnb, human Airbnb, molecular biology Airbnb. But talking about perspectives and future, I'm talking about stuff that is here on the planet since about 80 million years. But before I start getting into this history, let's start off with this lovely picture behind. So, seen any interesting stuff there? Hills, trees, stones, couple of people. Random picture. Same place, but just in the night. Fires burning everywhere. But these fires are not because of a forest fire or volcanic activity. No, these fires are actually burning day and night because of gas evaporating from underneath these rocks. So these continuously burning fires actually are kind of a very special place, right? You agree? People back in time thought that's a mysterious place. Located in Turkey, this was called Mount Chimera. And the people thought must be some crazy things going around there. And ancient history believes that this is the place where the myth of a creature was born, of Chimera. Just like you see it in this very beautiful piece of art from Etruscan people. So what is a chimera? Chimera was believed to be a lion, so the body of a lion, and the goat's head protruding from its back with a snake as a tail. So what they thought was that because in this area lived like lions and goats and snakes, there must be some combination of this creature living underneath these rocks and the toxic breath causing these fires everywhere. Some of you potentially just saw that I muted the slide a little bit. Let me show you again. Huh? Doesn't this animal look like a spitting image of the chimera we just saw? So is it possible that there are animals around here that are actually true chimera? Actually, I faked the tail. You probably didn't realize, but that's fake, right? And actually, it's a true animal that's living, but it's a cheek. No, a sheep. It's a sheep. So a hybrid of a sheep and a goat, right? But again, it's not real chimera because it's hybrid, like mom's a goat, dad's a sheep. Huh, funny, dad's a sheep. Anyway, so actually it's not really a chimera. So when we want to talk about chimera, I think we should first talk about the definition. And here's the definition of what's a chimera. So chimerism is actually the presence of cells from one individual in another individual. As an example, if you got an organ transplant, so from somebody else, you're actually having two different parts of individuals inside your body, your chimera. Question still is, are there these creatures living here? And if you binge watch websites for like fantastillion number of videos and pictures of cats, then you come across these cute cats like Jana here, or her famous cat celebrities, Venus, Chimera, Naria, that kind of look like as if you take two different cats, dismantle them, put them just together like Lego, right? So you probably don't believe it, but the right one is actually, again, me trying to come up with some decent pictures. But the pictures of the cats themselves are actually even better. Use the coffee break and check their social media accounts. If you, for example, look for Venus or whatever they may call it, so two-faced cats. I'm pretty sure you can find them because their social media accounts have way more than all of our ones have altogether. So take your time and have a look in the coffee break. So it seems that animals kind of have this potential to create chimera. But what about us humans? Well, listen to this story. The lady here, let's call her Lydia, and her friend, who was father of her two kids, decided to separate. And because she wanted to get support, financial support from the state, she had to prove that he would be the father of the kids. So they went to have a DNA test. Turns out he's the father of the kids, but she's not the mother of her kids. Yeah, somebody in the lab, kind of screwed up the analysis, right? They redid the analysis. However, it turned out to still be the fact that she is not the biological mother of her kids. So, and then she got into trouble because the people thought that she would use kids from others to get financial support. And although she was witnessing her birth, obviously, and her mom was, and even the gynecologist, she was facing court for trying to get funding or money that she would not be allowed to get. And she was struggling in court to prove her maternity. So at that time, she actually noticed that she was again pregnant. And the court said, when you deliver the baby, we need to have a witness. So baby was delivered under monitoring. Samples were taken under monitoring. Guess what? Again, she is not the biological mother of her kid. However, because people were witnessing the birth, the DNA test, the bulletproof DNA test, was under fire because it could not truly identify the mother of these kids. But how could that happen? Help actually came from science, because just at that time there was a paper published where a DNA mismatch was also seen in a mother that should receive transplants from her kids. And when they tested her kids, she was not the biological mother of her kids. And the result was that she obviously kind of took her twin sister that she was kind of in the belly, in the mom. So she absorbed her twin sister, becoming a chimera. So then the lawyers thought, could that be true for Lydia as well? And what they did was they tested different parts of Lydia. And only when they did a vaginal swab, they found DNA that was fitting to the DNA of her kids. They took hair, they took from the inside of the mouth, skin, and so on. But this sample still did not match. So what happened? During very early pregnancy, when she was like just a few numbers of cells, she had a twin sister. And this twin sister kind of did not make it. So that sister died. But the cells were still living. So what was happening was she absorbed the cells of her sister. And these cells ended up in an area where she would develop the reproductive organs, like ovaries and cervix and so on. So actually, the mother of her sister, the mother of her kids, is actually her unborn sister, making her genetically the aunt of her kids. That's mind-blowing, isn't it? So what are the odds? What do you think, how many people in here are Chimera? Hands up. Yeah, you all Chimera? Yeah. You know already the result. Okay, thanks lab people. So, how often does this happen? That's really, really rare. Like 100 cases or so have been reported. But that doesn't mean that in this room there are no chimeras. So actually we need to introduce again a new definition, the definition of microchimerism, which is actually the same as chimerism, but just with the micro in front, because it's about cells that are really, really rare in our body. So what do I mean? This microchimerism starts when women get pregnant. As you can see, cells between mom and baby are traveling. So the black cells are mom cells that go into the baby, and the orange cells or brownish thingy cells are the cells from the baby trafficking to mom. And these cells stay even after birth. And if you look into tissues and organs from mom, you will find fetal cells all over the place. Not at high frequency, but actually in every organ you can think of. That's actually also true for the offspring. Same here. If you look into organs and tissues of kids, then you find cells from mom. Meaning that most likely all here in this room are microchimera. I shall repeat. You are hosting mom cells right now. And the moms amongst you, you're hosting also your kid cells, most likely. This is a kind of a different picture of what I told you, just the different areas where we can find these so-called microchimeric cells. But what's interesting here is the cell type these microchimeric cells can take. So they become blood cells, neurons, a quite a variety of different cells. That means that all these cells more or less derive from the three major germ layers that we start developing in very early embryologic development. Meaning that most likely when those cells traveled to mom or to the offspring, had some kind of stem cell properties, or even were stem cells themselves. Now, what does science actually know about microchimerism? Well, first of all, microchimerism seems to be a phenomenon that goes both ways. Baby to mom, mom to baby. Second, this is a multi-generational phenomenon. So just a few years ago, they found cells of grandma in the blood of the baby. So it seems to be kind of, bigger range. Microchimerism actually started when the animals did the gestation inside their bodies. So no longer laying eggs, but developing babies inside the womb. So with the advent of placenta, they generated this phenomenon. And we can see it in cats, in dogs, in cattle, you name it. Most importantly, these cells not only are able to cross the placenta, they're also able to cross the blood-brain barrier. So what you can see in the top right detail here is cells derived from male, like a son, for example, that is located in the brain of a woman, most likely his mother. And we know it because we can stain the nucleus, which is blue, and we can stain the chromosomes. In this case, it's red for the Y chromosome and green, red for the X chromosome and green for the Y chromosome. So what you can see here in this red-green labeled cell is that it is derived from a male individual. Oh, mind-blowing. Actually, we don't know really much about what microchimerism is doing. So we know a lot of associations. It is associated with good, beneficial, and bad, harmful things, like cancer, autoimmune diseases, and so on. But what we know for sure, actually, is that these cells can repair tissue. So look at these two cute guys. Mom is white, dad is kind of fluorescently glowing. And if you mate these, you can generate pups, so tiny little babies that are fluorescent as well. And as we know, cells from these pups can go to mom. And what they do there is shown here in the bottom left image. So the top two pictures are the mice, and the bottom two pictures are detecting the fluorescence of cells. So what you see here is that cells from the baby went to the ear of one of the moms because there was an injury. And so they integrated in this tissue injury, becoming renewed maternal tissue. Now, what does this tell us? What do we gain from that? What do you gain from that? Besides the fact that it's a fantastic phenomenon. Well, I probably like best the psychological aspect of this. Now, when I told a colleague of mine about microchimerism, he was actually super fascinated, just like I was. And because he was so fascinated, he told his wife. And she was freaking out. And because she was so fascinated, she went to class and told it to her pupils, because she was a biology teacher. She told them about cells of the moms being inside the body. A few days later, one of her pupils approached her and told her about a recent loss, because she lost mom to cancer. And that the information of hosting her mom's cells helped her to cope with the loss of her mom. What an incredible thought how we could use microchimerism for lots of people. Thank you very much.